In this lecture, we'll start with the guidelines for choosing the blockchain projects. So far, we have seen the introduction to the blockchain under the module 1 and Bitcoin case study under the module 2. Now we are moving on to the module 3, guidelines for choosing the blockchain projects or blockchain project development. First of all, how to choose a blockchain project? This is quite common that since blockchain is a trending keyword in the technical aspects, usually everyone is interested to do some blockchain based works. It is quite common for any student to pick up latest trends or latest technology and to work in the technology. But without knowing why you are supposed to do this work and in which situation, in which cases this blockchain project, this particular technology has to be used. Without knowing that, if you pick up the project, then you will end in a disaster. This is not only for the postgraduate or undergraduate students, but also for the research scholars who are pursuing their PhD and want to take up the research work. First of all, you are supposed to think of the feasibility study. Is it worth doing? Always, if you take up any project, first thing you are supposed to analyze is feasibility study. That is it worth doing or not? That means if you can pick up the project, whether is it suitable to our requirements or not. For example, this is my personal experience. I used to see many graduate students who focus, who will do the work in the nature-inspired computing, some multi-objective optimization techniques, these kind of things. When I ask the students why you have taken this project, the answer is completely different. That they will say that sir, this is a latest work, sir. This is the current trend, and with this we want to improve this particular thing and all. Okay, it's okay, but why you have chosen this work, or why you have chosen this nature-inspired computing for your solution? So almost answer is no one have given the correct answer for that. Usually this kind of algorithms, multi-objective optimization, nature-inspired computing, genetic algorithms, particle swarm optimization, these kind of algorithms are especially the approximation algorithms. In design and analysis of algorithms, you might have studied the algorithm means it should terminate within finite number of steps. It should take 0 or more inputs, and it may produce 1 or more output. So like that, we have studied the steps for the algorithms. So algorithm need to be completed within finite time and should have some complexities, either maybe space complexity, time complexity. All these concepts, then we have studied the algorithm design techniques. Finally, in the last unit of your syllabus, you might have studied the NP complete and NP hard problems. NP hard problems cannot be done on the within the finite number of time or within finite time, or there is no specific algorithm for NP hard problem to complete. That means there is no exact solution available for NP hard problems. When there is no exact solution, we'll find out the approximate solutions. So if your problem statement, whatever the problem statement you are working on, is of NP hard type, like for example graph coloring problem, traveling salesperson's problem, these are all hard problems. There is no approximation, there is no deterministic algorithm available to solve these problems. When there is no deterministic algorithm, obviously we need to approach the approximation algorithms. That is the reason we solve the traveling salesperson problem using ant colony optimization. We may solve the graph coloring problem with other optimization techniques. So these kind of problems cannot be solved using deterministic algorithm. That means whenever there is no deterministic algorithm available, we choose the approximation algorithms. So that is the problem situation. Okay, the problem is a type of NP-hard type. So that is the reason we are going for approximation. In the research papers that you write also, whenever you choose this nature-inspired computing, this kind of problems, you have to show your problem statement is of a hard problem. There is no deterministic algorithm available. Then you need to apply the nature-inspired computing or approximation algorithms. Then you need to solve it, and you have to show that your method is better than the other methods. The same is the case in the machine learning projects also. I used to see many students, they used to simply apply the principal component analysis. When I ask why you have chosen principal component analysis, PCA, they used to say, we want to reduce the dimensionality and all the things. Okay, it's fine. For dimensionality reduction, you may use the PCA. So in order to reduce dimensionality, then immediately I used to ask the question that how many features are there in the data set that you have opted. So they used to say 10 features are there, 15 features are there. When 10, 15 features are there, what is the need of PCA? Manually, you can eliminate features. Why to use PCA? So PCA will be used when there exists huge number of features. Like in case of image processing, you will find hundreds and thousands of features you will be having. In such a cases, if you apply PCA, principal component analysis, and you reduce the dimensionality, then it will be a good solution, and so that you will work with the minimum number of features, and your work will be done. But without knowing what is the concept behind that, since it's a trending one, if you start applying that, it will end into a huge disaster. So that is the reason we are going to discuss the guidelines for choosing the blockchain projects in this lecture. When to use the blockchain projects and when not to use the blockchain projects. If you choose the blockchain projects, what type of blockchain is suitable for that requirement? All these things we are going to see in this lecture. Blockchain as a new technology, it is attracting huge demand in industry and academia. Few use cases in various industries are as follows. Use cases is nothing but where this blockchain is applicable, is applying. The areas are like this. Financial services. In this financial services, trade finance, cross-currency payments, mortgages, know your customer, cross-border tax system. All these are the areas in which the blockchain is popularly using. Next one is in public sector. In public sector, asset registration like land registrations, house registration, car registration, etc. Land registration, first time in the Andhra Pradesh, the previous government has used the land registration nearby the capital region under CRDA, Capital Region Development Authority. They used the land registration on the blockchain. That is, they use the blockchain for land registration, and the blockchain is a private blockchain. House registration or house rental or car rental system, these kind of things are the things that are majorly used in the public sectors, which are going to be implemented using the blockchain. Next is citizen identity, PAN card or unique other identification, Aadhaar, etc. That also where they are going to use the blockchain in that. Medical records, e-health system, and e-record management system, this kind of things. Medicine supply chain, so many supply chain management systems, including medicine, many other things like the diamond, gold, this kind of supply chain, coffee retail networks, this kind of things. Other retail things like general supply chain, loyalty programs, information sharing, these are the areas where blockchain has been used. Insurance, claim processing, risk prevents, and asset usage history, claims files. For all these things, again, blockchain is used. Supply chain logistics, same supply chain finance, maintenance tracking, provenance, supply chain compliances. In all these cases, see, these are the only broad areas that I have mentioned for your understanding. There are many other areas where this particular blockchain has been popularly used. First of all, we have seen the applications where the blockchain can be used. Now we'll see when to use a blockchain. This flow graph will give you the details of when to use the blockchain. This is a very important thing that you must, you may make a note on the paper while I am discussing. When to use the blockchain. The first one is, first of all, start with the project. First condition to be checked is, to do this project, we cannot rely on trusted third party. That means you have to check whether I cannot rely on the trusted third party. If you cannot rely on trusted third party, if yes, then proceed further. If no, then blockchain is not required. That means if you feel that we can believe a third party and we can work with the help of third party. Third party means here, I want to send money from, I want to send money to my friend via bank. So myself and my friend are the first and second party. Third party is nothing but here bank. If I trust bank, then I don't require blockchain. In Bitcoin, there is no bank, only the sender, receiver, verifiers. And to have the trust between the verifiers, some puzzles and mining algorithms are available. There is no centralized authority who is sitting there as a trusted third party and managing things. So cannot rely on trusted third party. If yes, then we are supposed to proceed further. If no, then blockchain is not required. Once you feel that okay, trusted third party is not required for us, then move to the next stage. Is data to be stored or database needed? If database is needed, then proceed further. If database is not needed, then blockchain is also not required. If database or data store or database is needed, then proceed further. Or multiple writers exist, that means whatever the transaction or whatever the operations you do, whether you are the only the writer or any other writers available or any other participant can do the writing operation. If multiple writers exist, then proceed further. Otherwise, in this case also, you don't require blockchain. When you confirm that the multiple writers are exist in your project, then you go to the next stage. Writers are unknown, untrusted, and have conflict of interest. This is what the thing called anonymity. You don't know who is the writer, and all the trusted, they may not be trusted, and they don't you don't know who they are. These kind of things. At the same time, the writers may have the conflict of interest. In such a cases, if you find this question, answer to this question as no, then obviously blockchain is not required. Otherwise, you can go further. That means first you have to check whether third party is required or not. If third party is not required, then go to the next step. Check whether the database is required or not. If database is required, then go to the next step. and check whether the multiple writers exist or not. If multiple writers exist, then go to the next step. Writers are unknown, untrusted, and have conflict of interest. If the answer is yes, then go to the next step. In these first four steps, if answer is no, then the blockchain is not required. You cannot use blockchain for that project. That means whenever you pick up any project, you are supposed to show third parties. You cannot rely on third party. You require database. There exists multiple writers, and all these writers are untrusted and have some conflict of interest. We have to show these four steps. Then you are supposed to go for the next thing. Here, after this, whether the access control not required. That means all writers have the same authority in the blockchain network. What the work you are doing. Obviously, if you look at the Bitcoin, some are the clients, some are the miners. Clients will only do the transaction operations and can only see their transactions. But miners can do many things, like full node and client node, like that. A full node can do many things, but a client node can do limited number of things. So like this, do this access control is required. If you feel that access control is required, then proceed further and check whether all transactions are public. What are the transactions happening in the project are public in nature? If yes, then immutability versus efficiency trade-off you want to manage. Immutability means the number of immutable transactions created versus how many number of immutable transactions will be created per the block creation period. That is what is called efficiency trade-off. If you want to go to this, then if all these are yes, then use public blockchain. That means if you want access control, if you want transaction to be public, and you want to trade off between immutability and efficiency, then if all these are yes, then you can choose the public blockchain. If all these are no, these three things, that is access control, public transactions, immutability versus efficiency are no, then check for is multi-party consensus required or not. If multi-party consensus is required, then choose the consortium blockchain. If multi-party consensus is not required, only few people will be there who will validate the transactions, then go to the private blockchain. That means when to use the public blockchain, if you want access control, if you want to make the transactions public, if you want to check the efficiency trade-off, the trade-off between the immutability and efficiency, if these three are required, then choose the public blockchain. Otherwise, you check is multi-party consensus required or not. If you feel that multi-party consensus is required, then go for the consortium blockchain. Otherwise, move to the private blockchain. So this is the way you are supposed to choose the blockchain project. So what are the project you take up? First, these four conditions must be yes. If anything of this is no, then blockchain project, it is not eligible for the blockchain project. Next, once you confirm with the four stages, you have passed through the four stages and all the four stages are required, then check for the access control and check whether the transaction to be made public or not, and you want to make the trade-off between immutability and efficiency. If all these three are yes, then you choose the public blockchain. If these are no, then check, make another check whether the multi-party consensus is required or not. If multi-party consensus is required, then choose the consortium blockchain. Otherwise, choose the private blockchain. So this is the way how to choose a blockchain for implementing your project. And first of all, you are making a feasibility study that whether my project need a blockchain or not. That will be done within the four steps. That will be done within the first four steps. Okay. Based on these four steps, we'll decide which blockchain we choose for implementation. That is public blockchain or private blockchain or consortium blockchain.